Good evening, Bruins. My name is Angela Scales, and I serve as the Senior Director of Bruin Connections and Alumni Career Programs here at UCLA. Welcome to tonight's episode of Bruin Career Insights, our second in our special series spotlighting alumni mentors. For those who aren't familiar with our UCLA Alumni Mentor program, it's in its 13th year and it's facilitated through UCLA One. So if you're interested and you'd like to participate, you still can. You can find more detailed information on our website at alumni.ucla.edu/mentor. For upcoming episodes in this series, we would love to hear from you about the kinds of topics and industries that you're most interested in. So send us your feedback and suggestions at our email address, careerprograms@alumni.ucla.edu. Tonight's episode is powered by membership, so I want to take a moment to thank our Blue, Gold, and Life members. You make events like this possible for the entire UCLA community. If you're interested in upgrading your membership, you'll see a link in the live chat. Using that live chat function, you can send questions throughout the episode. So don't be shy. We find that our best interviews are our most interactive ones. So ask away. Similar to our last episode, tonight's special guest will be interviewed by Nolan Gunsully, the student director of our UCLA Alumni Mentor program. So take it away, Nolan.
Thanks, Angela. I'm so excited to kick off our second episode featuring mentors tonight. So hi, everyone. I'm Nolan Gunsully. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering major, and I'm this year's student director of the Alumni Mentor program. With me tonight, I have Dave Crawford. Dave graduated from UCLA with a degree in mechanical engineering in 1995, and he's currently the executive lead for ride mechanical engineering at Walt Disney Imagineering. He has responsibility for teams involved with the concept, design, engineering, and delivery of complex, high-duty cycle, high reliability, and life safety ride systems for all Disney theme parks. He is a certified professional engineer with 60 patents and is still extremely passionate about and involved in the UCLA community, serving on the Alumni Association Board of Directors since 2012, on the UCLA Awards Selection Committee, hosting dinner for 12 strangers, and participating in the Alumni Mentor program. So Dave, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your career path and how it led to where you are today?
Well, thank you, Nolan. I am absolutely honored to be on tonight. It's actually my pleasure to do this. And you did a fantastic job with that mouthful of an introduction. Thank you very much. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to be a part of this tonight. Mentoring and advocacy has been a big part of my career, and I'm really excited to share a little bit with everyone online tonight. I, as you said, graduated from UCLA with a mechanical engineering degree in 1995, and I've worked in some form or another, some capacity in the entertainment side of engineering my entire career. So for almost 26 years now. Worked for small little special effect companies that just did fire and fog effects, all the way up to designing some of Disney's most amazing ride systems now all over the world. So it's been a fabulous career so far, and excited to talk a little bit about that tonight.
Awesome, I'm so glad. And obviously it's been a really long career too, a great long career. You're coming up on 20 years working at the Walt Disney Company, right? In Imagineering. What are some of the factors that have kept you there for so long?
It has been a long time, and it has not surprised anyone more than me to be here for 20 years now. It's what's really kept it fresh for me is I've had three kind of separate and distinct careers within Imagineering. I've worked within the ride engineering group. Spent about 6-7 years there. I transferred into creative and led a lot of blue sky and upfront feasibility work for another 6 or 7 years, and then I worked in our R&D group for 6 years. So it's been really fun and exciting to have different challenges along the way, not just doing the same thing, for 20 years. I've worked 3 distinct separate roles, 2 of which I was wholly unqualified for, but that made it kind of fun to do things that I hadn't really been trained in or had no background for, and really kept me learning and pushing myself.
That's awesome. Well, obviously you started from a really great place, coming from UCLA to learn all those amazing skills. So as an engineer at a large entertainment company, do you often see students seeking out STEM opportunities in the industry, or is there still a misconception about the types of jobs that are available?
No, actually STEM jobs within entertainment they're all over the place, from special effects to mechanical effects. They're prevalent in just about every part of the entertainment industry. Obviously, lots of computer science with computer generated imagery in the movies, all the way to practical effects in the movies and theme parks. So STEM is very heavily represented, though not always very well known. People think much more about the creative side of entertainment, from directing and artistic and screenwriting. But behind all of those creative pursuits, or more traditionally known as creative pursuits, are lots of technologists that sit behind the scenes, making those dreams, come forth into reality.
That's amazing. And my gosh, I'm sure there's so many teams involved with that and so many different workers available. And, one of the most popular questions we got leading up to this interview tonight was, of course, how do I get a job in Imagineering? So let's go ahead and just tackle that right now. Do you have any tips for people, for students trying to get a job as an Imagineer?
Yeah, it's a great one. And it honestly comes up a lot. It's probably one of the most frequent questions I get as an Imagineer is, how do I get in there? It's been my lifelong dream. I went to Disney parks when I was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and I wanted to be an Imagineer ever since. There is no one distinct path to get to Imagineering. And I think what really serves people best is being the best at what they do. People tend to combine this kind of stereotype of an Imagineer, which combines all of Imagineers into one person, this super techno creative, everything in one person. And they think they have to be that. But in reality, Imagineering is divided into departments like most big companies. And when we go out and recruit and we're looking for new talent, we're looking for specific experts in those areas. So take mechanical engineering, for example. When I'm looking for new mechanical engineers, I'm looking for the best, mechanical engineer that I can find, first and foremost. After that, I really like to see that broadness and depth into other kind of interests and fields and capabilities, because we work on very broad and diverse teams. We interact with creative disciplines quite frequently, and we need people that can communicate, collaborate, and really empathize with the final product and how it's going to be shown to our guests.
Interesting. I think I've already started speaking to the people who are watching too. I think we have a great live chat question from Joe about non-engineering roles in Imagineering. Is there a place for those with a non-engineering background at Imagineering?
Absolutely. Imagineering is made up of over 140 different disciplines. So obviously we have the technologists, the engineers, the computer science majors, but we also have screenwriters, story writers, concept designers, illustrators. There is if there is a major in a school, we probably utilize that major and expertise somewhere within Imagineering. We're a very broad, very diverse group of people, and if you think of what it takes to pull together a theme park attraction, there's lighting designers, there's sound designers, there's AV technicians. I could go on and on, but there's a place just about for anyone within Imagineering if you seek it out.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. And that's great too, because I'm sure, as an experienced engineer as well, hopefully mentorship has helped you a little bit there too. So kind of guiding our way into the mentorship questions, how have you cultivated mentor relationships throughout your career?
Mentorships have been critical for me, and it's one of the things as I said at the beginning, I'm really passionate about, because I personally have just received so much benefit from the advice and perspectives of people that I really admired. It probably started as early as while I was at UCLA. To be honest, I was studying mechanical engineering. I'd wanted to be a mechanical engineer as far back as I can remember. I mean, before I even knew what a mechanical engineer was, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I got into college at UCLA, and I was studying it, and there were a lot of classes I wasn't connecting with, honestly. I wasn't excited about it. Some of the teachers were not, really driving my passion, and I questioned a lot of, is this really the field for me? Is this what I wanted to do? And I had some really influential people at that point in my life that told me to stick with it. I just needed to kind of marry my passions, the things I really liked, with the things that I was good at doing. And that was a really interesting perspective, because up to that point, all I'd really considered as far as a mechanical engineer was aerospace and kind of big tech firms. And those just didn't excite me. And so I started thinking, well, what do I love? What do I like? And it came to entertainment, movies and theme parks and that kind of stuff. And I had honestly never even considered the fact that there were engineers involved with those industries. And I decided I wanted to go into movie special effects. That was it for me. I'm gonna be part of the movie industry. Star Wars and these movies that I grew up with these amazing practical effects, just were so influential, and it looked fun just to blow things up. So I started looking into the movie industry, and unfortunately, right about the mid-90s is when computer-generated graphics was really taking off, and movie companies like Pixar were getting started, and so honestly, all the mechanical engineers were really being laid off, and they wanted computer scientists and programmers, and it was a little frustrating. And again, this mentor came back and said, "Well, why don't you think about the theme park industry? There are a lot of similarities, and but you're building these monuments to kind of reliability, safety, and maybe one day you'll even build a ride that one of your kids will go on." And that has stuck with me, for this whole time. And I actually realized that part of the dream probably 10 years ago with my first kid when I took him on a ride that I designed, the Winnie the Pooh ride at Disneyland. He was horribly traumatized by it. He was freaked out by it. I remember it fondly. So.
Wow, who could be traumatized by the Winnie the Pooh ride? I guess
it was kind of dark. Those old Disney dark rides are a little traumatic for some people. So.
Oh God, I can definitely see it. It's shaky and stuff. Oh my God, how weird. It's interesting though, like thinking about the past and how many people have influenced you and how you've grown older and been able to pass it on to your kids and to other people in other generations. Starting as a student and having so many mentors to guide you, it's weird to think now that you're a mentor yourself. So when did you first become a mentor? Like, is this pretty recent?
No, it's interesting. I have a very different take on mentorship than I think than the traditional form of like, you're the mentor and I'm the mentee and we're going to do it. I think the best relationships are mentor-mentor relationships. And I know that people like to put the person with more experience or more age, kind of up on a pedestal if they're the mentor. But I think, the more traditional person defined as a mentor has as much to learn from someone younger than them as vice versa. And so I approach every mentorship relationship that I start as a mentor-mentor. This is a two-way street. It's not one way. I'm not just giving advice. I want as much as I'm giving from this. And that may be perspectives, it may be passion, it may be excitement, it may be a million things. But I think the best mentor relationships are two-way streets. And so I look back on the people that I interacted with and I see that form of a relationship that was formed, that it wasn't just one way. They asked me as many questions and asked for advice and my thinking and things. And it's a very blurred and gray line throughout those years of when did I start, being the mentor or the person giving advice. But I've definitely started approaching it differently in my understanding of when people ask for advice, career advice, life advice, that kind of stuff. I think I obviously have the perspective at this age in my career to have that perspective, and I think that's a nice thing to share.
And it's an amazing perspective to have too, it sounds like. I mean, not a mentor myself, but that sounds like the correct way to go about doing things.
You may be.
Hopefully it's the right one. And as a mentor, taking on that way of thought of the mentor thinking, getting advice from both sides, do you have any specific tidbits of advice for how students and their alumni mentors at UCLA can go about interacting and create that kind of an atmosphere between each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of times people approach mentorships with this, they kind of come in and say, will you be my mentor? And it's kind of a startling question to get, honestly, because it's an undefined commitment. Like, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to me? How long is that going to last? And so it can sometimes, I think, be a tough way to start that. At the end of the day, a mentor situation is just a relationship, right? It's a relationship between two people that get together and share life experiences. And one of the kind of most common pieces of advice I give people is don't start a mentor relationship by asking that question, because it's so unknown and undefined and can be intimidating even to a mentor to be asked that, because they may think, oh, is this going to mean we're going to have to meet 3 times a week for the next 10 years or whatever. I always recommend that people start it off with just let's go get coffee, let's go get lunch, let's start a relationship, because that's all it is, right? And if there's a connection and there's interest on both sides to continue it, then you do it again. and then you do it again, and you do it again. And before you know it, you're in a relationship where you're sharing advice and interests and passions and expertise. You're in a mentor relationship without ever formalizing it. And you may even start calling them, well, you're my mentor, but it didn't start off that way. I always caution people starting it that way. Just start a relationship with someone that you respect, that you think has achieved things that you'd like to achieve as well, and that can give you good advice on how to move your own career forward.
That organic kind of relationship sounds absolutely kind of like perfection for a mentor relationship, being able to trade those ideas, advice, and everything back and forth between each other.
It's the best. I have never approached any mentor relationship with, I know a lot of people do, and it's fine, but as well, our mentor relationship is 1 year, and then I'm going to go get another mentee. That's always like every mentor relationship that I start is lifelong. I mean, it just is by the nature of what I think it is. Like, I'm going to build a relationship with this person, and I'm going to be invested in them, and I want them to succeed, and I want to know about those successes, throughout their entire life. And I've been lucky to get one of my mentees actually here at Disney, and it's nice to see her on a frequent basis and see that she's excited about her career as it's moving forward.
Oh, great! I'm so glad. That's great. I'm so glad that you've continued on that relationship with her as a mentor and mentee from the UCLA Alumni Mentor program, right? She was
correct. Yeah.
I'm so glad, because that's one of the main concerns that students have is, I want to keep my mentor for a longer time, but it's only a year commitment. But truly, hopefully, I mean, you're a great example. That is lifelong. Well, hopefully lifelong.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just, your graduation or your year. And we actually have a great question from Tasia. Sorry, kind of bringing you back into your actual career.
It's Tasia today. Let's hear it.
It's, how does Disney as a company encourage mentorship?
Disney is very passionate about mentorship. They see the value in it on both sides of the spectrum as well. We have formal mentor programs through our HR department, tools that you can go onto our web portal and request a mentor, and then our HR group does as good a job as they can of matching your interests and career and passions with someone else that has requested a mentee. So if you're not comfortable starting it and initiating it on your own in kind of an informal way, there are specific tools that Disney really encourages people to use and are very good for making that match. Similar to the UCLA Mentor a Bruin program, where you go and you meet different people and then they match people together that they think would be good. And it's a great program. It really helps build kind of the next generation of engineers, directors, creative artists. It's hard to know where you want to go with your career if you don't know what options there are, right? And so people that have kind of walked those roads before can help at least expose you to those. I'm always against mentors telling people what to do. You should do this, you have to do that. Everyone's different, everyone has a different path. I like exposing people to what options are out there and then having them follow their passion and interests. I think that's where you get the most out of your enjoyment out of your life and career.
Interesting. And we actually have another question from Grace about that same kind of your introduction to mentorship too. How did you find your latest mentor and advocate?
My latest, it was in all of the people I've kind of considered a mentor I've sought after have been relatively organic, like I talked to you about it. It started with a coffee of someone that I just really respected. I thought they'd done or set an example in certain ways that really I aspired to. And I wanted to learn more about them and their path and who they were. And so it started with a coffee. And it's been someone that's really helped me navigate. As I said, I've had these three kind of very distinct careers, I'd say, even within Imagineering. And a lot of people will say like, oh, it was so obvious. Of course you wanted to join the front-end creative team and do, feasibility work on new attractions. And of course you wanted to join the R&D team. And as fantastic as those experiences and those groups were at the time of making that decision, it was really nerve-wracking, leaving a comfort zone. I had studied my whole education and the early points of my career to be a mechanical engineer, and leaving a defined engineering group for a creative team was really quite anxiety inducing. And so it took someone to kind of give me the broader perspective of like, decisions aren't permanent. And if this doesn't work out, maybe you think about going back, and, to just kind of frame it in a way that said, oh, okay, my life isn't going to end if this decision doesn't work out. And those things help so much. And so I really appreciate, my most recent mentor, the person probably that I consider my most recent mentor has been someone, that's been around probably for like 10 years, that has just really helped guide some of that decision making as I've moved a very strange path through the Imagineering organization.
That's amazing. And it's actually really interesting to hear how your change in mindset from going in engineering to creative was so difficult. And hopefully, one of our students actually seems to pick up from that. We have it's an RSVP question from Evith, and it's kind of on that same point of inspiration. What do I need to tell myself when I feel like giving up on my dreams?
Oh, oh man. What do you tell yourself? You tell yourself you can't do it. I mean, that's a tough question. I know how hard it is. Following your dreams and your passions, it can seem impossible at times. And even as hard as it is to achieve your dreams, if you don't have the support and encouragement from friends and family and mentors and all that to continue, it can be even harder. But I really think that the best careers, the happiest careers, are when you marry those dreams and passions with your abilities. When you can find that overlap of the things that you really love and the things that you're good at, and find that intersection, is when you have a happy life and career. And if you give up on that and you compromise it at all, and that may not just be because it's hard or you're not getting support to follow your dreams, but you decide to follow a path that you think maybe will lead to more money or a higher position. I mean, I see this all the time, right? As people, they want their next advancement, and so they compromise their dream. I love this. This is my passion, but oh, there's more money if I do this. And they jump over there, and it's almost immediate. They don't really enjoy it, so they stop doing as well at it, and then you're stuck there forever. And so, because you're not advancing anymore. And so I think I'm a very firm believer you have to stay with your dreams, no matter what. Even if it isn't the quickest path to the highest paycheck or the highest position, at least you love what you do. At least you go into work every day happy about what you're doing. And there can be frustrations I get on all sides, but I truly do believe that when you stay with your dreams and what you love, in the end, it comes around. You'll eventually get that advancement because people see that and they enjoy it and they want to work with you, and that will lead to advancement.
That's great. And that sounds actually similar to some advice that one person who walks his dogs on campus also says all the time. And it's a mystery as to who he is, but apparently it's amazing. I mean, same stuff. Weird, interesting. That's amazing though. It's interesting that your dreams are sometimes not the ones that you're paid most for. And it's what a lot of our live chat questions actually are about. A lot of students' dreams are those Imagineering positions, and of course, a lot of people really want to get into that position, and they're asking. This one's from Will. How can I stand out from the competition when applying to one of these rare positions at Disney Imagineering?
Boy, yeah, that's there's a little bit of an overlap here with that last question, because I get this a lot where people say, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to be an Imagineer? What should I study? I'm like, what do you love? That's always my question. I never want to direct someone along a certain path and say, well, you should study this, because if that isn't what they love or good at, then why do it? Do what you love and be the best at it. That is the best path towards Imagineering. I mean, it really is. If when I'm interviewing, engineers or mechanical engineers, and I can tell, they have this list of hobbies and accomplishments and, club memberships that just show this love and passion for engineering, and they're fantastic and good at it, that's what I'm looking for. If someone has just jumped onto the mechanical engineering train because they think that, it will lead to something else, it's kind of obvious that it's not their interests. You can kind of filter that through talking and everything else. So I think it's again just about staying with that passion and interest, and again being the best. We get a lot of resumes and a lot of interest in what we do. I posted some intern positions recently. We had about 900 applicants for those couple positions. It's highly competitive, you know, and what we're looking for is, you know, the best in there, and the people that can kind of work on those collaborative, you know, really diverse teams in a collaborative and productive way.
Interesting. So it is tough, and you know, thankfully you're in that position now, and you're able to give us all your information about what it's like before we even.
I wish there was a secret roadmap. I really wish there was. You know, there was obviously one of the Imagineering legends was Marty Sklar, who passed away recently, and he was a UCLA Bruin as well, an amazing, you know, devoted advocate of the school, as well as Disney and Imagineering. He ran Imagineering for a couple decades. He wrote a book called One Little Spark, and it talks a lot about the kind of path of various Imagineers to Imagineering. And so it's kind of a fun and interesting read, and fun to kind of see how people emerged here. But it's everyone has a different and unique path. I really recommend people just get experience in this industry. It's massive. It's huge. There are show, ride, special effect vendors all over California, all over the globe, and just taking a step in this direction, getting some experience in this industry, develop the relationships and networks. It's kind of where I started, at smaller companies, and I got a lot of responsibility very early in my career at those small little startups, and that eventually led me on a path to this place. I didn't start my career here. I probably couldn't. But eventually, you know, I kind of worked my way over here through project after project.
Oh, amazing. And it's interesting too, because I mean, obviously you're in such a creative and technical position as, you know, as your current position right now. And everyone who wants to get into that position kind of wants the balance of those two things too. And so, I mean, a lot of people actually right now are asking, we have a question from Amanda. If you can describe your typical day in your job, in the life of an Imagineer as your dream position.
My typical day. Well, first I'll tell you about today, because I was actually down at Disneyland at the new Star Wars land site, and walking the site. I still got my work boots on, and that was pretty cool, I gotta say. You know, occasionally we go down to the sites and check out the installation and progress that's going on down there, and it's just amazing. That is definitely one of the most fun parts of the job, is seeing these things that were nothing more than concept sketches, you know, years ago, being erected out of steel and concrete, you know, just emerging out of the ground. These dreams that are becoming reality. It's just fascinating. On more of a daily basis, you know, I'm a functional manager of a 35-person mechanical engineering team, and I look at my role exclusively really as to support, development, and encouragement of that team. Once those team members are assigned to a project, it's the project engineer's responsibility to kind of give them their tasks and monitor their performance against that task. But the way I look at my job is really about the development of that team in every way, from developing them as, you know, engineers, making sure they're assigned to the right projects for their skill sets, ensuring I'm clearing, you know, roadblocks and barriers and red tape, ensuring that they can be as efficient and productive as they absolutely possibly can, and then trying to help with their development, you know, level by level, as they move up in their careers. And it was, you know, honestly, it was a very big transition for me, moving from a kind of a production engineer of designing and analyzing and fabricating, you know, equipment, to moving into functional management, where you're building teams and people. There are a lot of similarities to it, and a lot of the same puzzles that you have to figure out. And how do I get the most out of this person, and how do I encourage them, and how do we move them forward as fast as possible? It's a very different form, but I think an engineer's mindset really works well for a lot of the challenges that you see in management.
How interesting! It's amazing that it's, you know, such a process behind it. You know, behind your thoughts and your profession and everything behind it. I'll
go back to, I don't even know if it's a process. I think there's just one thing, and it's really just be a good person. I mean, I think that's, management comes down to that one thing: be a caring, good person. And it doesn't mean that you can't have those hard discussions when someone's falling behind and not performing to the level, but you do it with care and empathy and support. And I've, you know, it's the way I like to be managed, right? It's kind of that do unto others, you know, be that person, be that boss or manager that you've always wanted to have.
I would just say that your personal management style also reflects, leadership qualities that you think are really important, not only at Imagineering, but everywhere. Yeah. Those, taking care of everyone else that is working for you, guiding them.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, I think, I don't know, I never imagined I'd move into management. I never thought this was the career path for me. And it's interesting, talking to maybe a bunch of recent graduates or students, when you graduate, you've spent all this time, 4 or 5 years studying a specific major. You think that's who you're going to be and what you're going to do for your entire life. But, looking back 25 years, that's potentially, 5 other college educations. And you have so many opportunities to not just reinvent yourself, but become, something else or something different. And I've really had an amazing opportunity through the support of the people around me and mentors and others to try different things that I really wasn't trained for, or I never imagined I would be. I never could have charted a path to this point because I didn't even know it existed or was an option for me. But by kind of following, again, that passion and things that I enjoyed and the people that I liked working with, it kind of led me on this journey, and is still leading me on a journey that I've really enjoyed. It's been stressful at times because you're not sure you're making the right decision or the best one for your career. But I can say that I have always been very happy and rewarded and challenged throughout all those years.
Interesting how your path seems so universal, that you followed your dreams and your goals, and you were able to find a place where you are now today in your current position. And we actually have a question from a live chat from Sandy that asks, kind of similar among that track, if you weren't working as an Imagineer, what else would you be doing?
That's a good question. Maybe working in movie special effects. I don't know. The practical effects are coming back, right? Mad Max and Star Wars. It's kind of interesting to see everything come full circle. I love the entertainment industry. It just, for me, I like working on a product that makes people happy and that they enjoy. I love the collaboration. I like working with extremely creative artists and designers and directors, and figuring out ways to make their dreams and ideas become real. It's a really interesting challenge because it's not just about, efficiency and cost effectiveness, which is kind of typically the engineer's challenge. Like, how do I design this part as efficiently and cost effectively as possible? It's about doing that, but within these bizarre constraints of, like, there's a heffalump or a woozle that needs to be located in this area, and we have to bend the drive shaft around that. It's like, why would you do that? But those are the challenges that I just love, because it leads you to thinking in really different ways about how you might do a drivetrain or something similar.
That's so exciting. It's so exciting the way that you describe, working within the creative constraints of the Imagineering, and hopefully, you don't scare children in the process with your.
No.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. Family fun and entertainment.
We have a live chat from Jack actually on that similar topic. He asks, which areas do you foresee as the most exciting for potential guest experience innovation in Imagineering? Interesting.
There's a lot of directions. I think, the most important thing for Imagineering is that we stay relevant to our guests, and there's so much happening in the world today, right? There's new technologies, there's new interests. We have to stay relevant. And so while we have to always acknowledge and respect the past, we have to be adaptable and flexible for the future. And I don't know exactly what that means, but a lot of our lands have become a lot more immersive. If you look at Cars Land, or the new Avatar Land out in Florida, when you walk into those spaces, you are there. You are not just enjoying a theme park version of those places. You are in those worlds. And I think that's a really interesting and fun opportunity, even for adults, right? That suspension of disbelief that, like, I can let down my guard, I can be a kid again, I can pretend I'm in the movie, and really allowing our guests and their families to become a part of our stories, a part of our movies, a part of our video games, and the hero, within those stories, I think is where there's a lot of excitement for me personally.
That's amazing. That excitement is so cool too. And I feel like that's something that's unique to the entertainment industry and to Disney as well. That excitement about working for your projects. And I'm sure it's universal as well, just like your leadership qualities. But we actually have a question from Tay about that, which is, what is your favorite thing about working for the happiest place on earth specifically?
It's a little cliche, but it really is the people that are here. I would say that all the time. It's just, it is an amazing group of people. The Imagineers that work here and that I get to interact with daily are just experts across the board, professionals. There's so much respect. And I've found if you're willing to kind of reach out and explore, the relationships with people outside your specific department or studio, people are willing to talk and learn and teach. And I've been such a benefit of those types of interactions and growing me beyond, the mechanical engineer that I was when I graduated from UCLA into someone with a broader perspective for kind of attraction design and creative development and just that appreciation and respect has just been fantastic. So absolutely the people. I also, one of the things I really enjoy from the mechanical engineer's perspective is a lot of times, mechanical engineers work on things that other people don't understand, right? You're working on some actuation system within a bigger component, and it's a machine that does some crazy stuff. In manufacturing, it can be really hard to explain to people what you do and the importance of that. And I found, it's almost the opposite within the entertainment industry, because when you talk about some of the projects you work on, they're so visible, they're so high profile. People, they become a part of people's lives, when they come to the parks and they enjoy an experience and then they want to come back every year and bring their kids. Working on things that become a part of people's lives like that is really, really an emotional connection for me that makes me come back and want to do it again and again and again. There's nothing at all, I'll tell you, like standing outside an attraction that you just spent the last 5 years working on opening day and watching people, get off the ride and just run back and get in line again and do it again. And that makes every, hour of overtime, of blood, sweat, and tears just worth it, in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, and we all, I'm sure, as students and all the people who are wishing to be Imagineers right now, we all want those moments too, hopefully one day. The point is too, of course, is to find mentors like you and amazing people who will lead us and guide us to those positions that will give us that satisfaction, that will, of course, give us that kind of happiness that's within us. And one of the I know you mentioned earlier about meeting a person and viewing them for a job candidate and seeing whether or not they're passionate and if they're the best of the best. We have a question from Doreen, actually, about more of that side of mentorship. When you meet with a potential mentee, what catches your attention about them the most? What do you look for in someone you could potentially be advising?
Good question, Doreen. There's a connection that, for me, at least, it comes back to that it's not one-sided. It's really difficult for me when I meet someone and, they start it with that, will you be my mentor? And it's just very one-sided. Tell me what to do here. How should I do this? Should I be studying something else? I want to have that connection. I want to have a relationship. I want to have a discussion back and forth about, well, what are your interests and what gets you excited? And honestly, if I had someone that I was developing that, I'm going to keep calling a mentor-mentor relationship, sorry, with that, was so, I want to be an Imagineer and this is my life's dream. But through the questions and interactions and dialogue and me getting to know them, I realized that there was maybe something better for them, or, that just Imagineering wasn't the place for whatever reason. It just, they may not thrive here or be successful. I wouldn't actively push them away from it, but I would present those other options of, hey, your expertise and skills and interests, you might really enjoy, someplace like, SpaceX or something like that. That might be the place for you because you're so passionate about, the stars, the planets, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not about, I always see mentorship is not about guiding someone towards a specific thing, but finding what is their true passion, and how do you enable and bring that out, right? And if they know what that is, and it is, I think what's best, then yeah, let's make motions that direction. But I think it's all about, there's a lot of self-discovery, I think, on both sides of mentorship.
How interesting. And that's interesting to learn about, how you go about guiding your mentees and discovering their inner ambitions. And we have a question from Kelly that's kind of along that track, but goes back to you. What was the most surprising thing that you learned about yourself from your career journey?
Through my career journey?
Mm-hmm.
My career journey. I think that the most surprising thing is probably just that I didn't end up being a mechanical engineer for my whole life. That was the perspective, as I said, I'd always had through my education and early career. I was an engineer. I was always going to be an engineer. And when I had this opportunity to kind of change that, it shocked, surprised, scared, scared the life out of me. But I'm really, looking back now, I'm so glad I made that step, because it took me on a path, again, that I didn't even know it existed, and has honestly made me so much happier and excited about what I do and why I do it than if I'd stayed on the one that I thought I knew and wanted. And so that the biggest surprise was, taking that kind of leap of faith that I'm gonna try something else. And thank goodness I had a safety net and supportive people around me, and good mentorship to talk me off the ledge. but looking back now, it's really shocking that I really had a significant kind of change in my whole life and career, that took me on a different path. And that doing that once has made it easier every time that I've done it again. And I'm in this position now, and we'll see what's next. I've kind of become very accepting of change and new responsibilities, and stepping into kind of the unknown with the hope that it's going to work out in the end. And it's been really exciting.
That's amazing. And obviously all those twists and turns have panned out correctly. You're now pretty much a professional in your field.
Luckily, I mean, it could have gone the other direction, though. I honestly could have. I've been very lucky and quite fortunate in the things the path that I've taken. And honestly, coming back full circle, back to ride engineering now, was as much a surprise to me as anybody. It really was quite shocking I never thought I'd be back on this path of my life. And it's really exciting and refreshing. Spent 15 years on the development side, kind of just, generating new ideas and supporting teams that did that. And to be back on kind of the production engineering side and helping to enable a whole team of people that are just fantastic and creating the next generation of Disney experiences, is again another thing I never thought I'd do, and here I am, and it's just fantastic.
That's awesome. And kind of going back to the teamwork principle that you talked about, like obviously you have great work yourself that you do every day in managing teams, but you have a lot of great professionals with you as well in the workplace. Yeah. And we have a question from Wen about that. Specifically, you've mentioned experts of a field a lot, and that usually either means a PhD degree or many years of experience. Are there young people at the team as well? Young
people on my team? Absolutely. I think we have a great diversity of kind of age and experience, and I think that's critical. In every aspect, as we move through our careers and we become experts, there can be times when we're less willing to take a risk or a chance or utilize a new technology. And so I love kind of the collaboration that goes back and forth. I think you need people on teams thinking differently. I know that at times there's this desire to it's nice when the team all thinks together. We make quick decisions. I love, that kind of respectful friction that happens when different ideas and different approaches, rub up against each other, because I think it's important to push ourselves, even myself, in different directions. And I tell my team all the time, look, if I'm doing something wrong or that doesn't agree, or you don't think that it's the right way, tell me. I want to know. And I want to be able to defend the choices that I make, just like I want you to be able to defend the choices that you make. So I think, it's kind of back to the original question of experts. I don't look at experts. I don't look at the term expert as being tied to years of education years of experience or years in age. An expert is someone that just does something that no one else can do. Yes, and that can come at any age or experience level. If you bring a unique perspective because of your life experiences, I would consider that person an expert, because they're the person I'm going to go to get something done.
That's amazing that there's such diversity in teams too, and the creative process as well. I mean, I'm sure hopefully everyone's, as ambitious and dedicated to their own field of study to be able to be a professional in their area, and hopefully quickly too. That's what we all hope. I'm sure students, we all hope to get there relatively quickly, not take 50 years or so, or 70 years getting there. But we kind of have, going back to more about you and your personality yourself, we have an RSVP question from Calvin. And specifically, what podcasts, books, or other sources of media do you consume, and which ones would you recommend to students looking to learn more and dive into the entertainment tech industry? Oh,
interesting. Man, I love science fiction. I mean, if I had to choose kind of a genre of everything, I kind of podcast and listen to and read about it. It's generally science fiction. I really enjoy it. I love those just different visions of the future and what that might be. Even older things like Asimov and stuff. It's just fascinating. There's so many, YouTube and Netflix and Amazon shows about it now, and I love different visions of the future, whether I think they're right or wrong or different. There's always something interesting about that. It's something we think about a lot here, is what is the future? Where are we going? What's going to be relevant to our guests and their families? And so yeah, just, I don't know, lots of science fiction-y type stuff and blogs and podcasts about that. So it's fun.
How interesting. And I'm sure everyone's wondering too, do you watch the show Black Mirror?
Yeah, yeah, I watched that a few times. It's it's kind of the new, yeah, it's fun.
It's interesting. It's very dark, but very good. So, wow, we've had so much time with you. I'm so glad. Thank you for being here. But as we start to wrap up here, what are the top 3 things you think you want Bruins to take away from tonight's discussion?
Top 3 things, so much pressure. I guess going back to some of the things we talked about, one is following your dreams. I honestly can't get that one question out of my head. I know it's hard and it's cliche just to say, oh, don't let go of your dreams. It's important to not let go of them, even if you have to deviate on the path a little bit. Don't let go of those dreams, because those dreams are what make you happy. Life, it's critical to find that balance and happiness in life. And honestly, I've seen people compromise those, again, for position and pay. They just don't lead to long-term happiness. Coming into a job, people that you respect, and doing that is what really makes a great and fun life. I also think one thing that's good to remind people is just keep growing. It's easy to think, oh, I got my major, I'm out of school, I'm at my job. And you can get in a routine. It's very easy to get in a routine after a few years of work of like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm just kind of cranking it out. Make yourself better every year in some way, shape or form, through experience, learn a new program, join a club, make some new relationships, do something to make yourself grow every year, and just keep pushing yourself. It's the people on my team that do that are just constantly hungry for more knowledge, more capability to just grow their skill set. It's really exciting to see that, and they're the ones that I typically want to give more responsibility, more challenges to, because I know they're not going to be intimidated by it. We don't have a lot of specialists. You may be working on a roller coaster one day, a drop tower the next, an autonomous vehicle the next. So we really need people that are constantly growing. And the last, I'll just say from my own personal experience, stay involved with UCLA. UCLA has been a cornerstone of my life, since I went there 25 years ago. And, it was instrumental to me then. It put me on the path that I am now. And it's something that I continue to go back to even at this point in my life and career. And it's been meaningful a lot of that time. So give back, stay connected. It doesn't have to be financially, be involved, go to the events, support the people in the Alumni Association and their staff. It's all about just giving a little bit back. And if everyone does, the whole university and the community around it continues to grow and thrive. And let's all be there for the next generation, like the generation before us was there for us. So.
Wow, it's incredible. I think we've completely changed our perspective on like mentorship, leadership, volunteerism, pretty much everything regarding to our career tonight.
Well, I hope it was meaningful. I mean, it was fun for me, and I wish I could be a mentor for everyone online. I really do. It's I know there's people of all ages and experience levels out there, but ping me on LinkedIn if people want to connect. Grab coffee, email back and forth. I'm always happy to do it. There's this very special place in my heart and life for the UCLA community and the people that have come through that school. So, I really wish everyone the best in their life and their careers, and stay with your heart, stay with what makes you happy, and I think things work out.
Amazing words of wisdom to leave us off with. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel like it's been a train ride of like wisdom and great experience, just like every moment of this. Thank you so much for being an awesome resource to our campus and to all of us here, all these students, and for always offering your time up for not only our organization, but for the Alumni Association Board and for the engineering societies and everything that you do. It's amazing that you give back so much to us. So thank you, seriously.
Thank you, Nolan. You did a fantastic job on this interview. I really enjoyed it. I had fun. I'll do this anytime. Just let me know.
Oh, thanks. Okay, we might have to come back to that. Yes, definitely. I'm sure people are going to want you back here for sure. If not soon, then, soon later. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you so much for being with us tonight. This is absolutely amazing. And you're an absolutely incredible resource to all of our students and to mentors and students as well. I think everyone got some great advice out of this tonight. Thank you. So before we sign off, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Angela for some closing remarks, but really, thank you.
All right. Have a good night, Nolan. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Nolan. To everyone watching, thank you again for joining us and participating in the discussion. As we embark on the second year of the Bruin Career Insights series, we're excited to explore a variety of new topics. So if you'd like to watch previous episodes in the series, you can find all of them on our UCLA Alumni YouTube channel. If you have ideas for upcoming topics or speakers that you think would be wonderful for Bruin Career Insights, send us an email at careerprograms@alumni.ucla.edu. Thank you again to Dave and to everyone for being a part of tonight's discussion. And thank you to our Blue, Gold, and Life members for making events like Bruin Career Insights possible. Through your support, we're able to provide career programs and resources for all Bruins. We'll see you all again in March for our next episode in the series. Have a great evening and go Bruins!